Game of the weekend, number 12 Syracuse versus Notre Dame at Yankee Stadium. Very fancy. How much of a chance do you give Cuse to pull off the upset?
I give them a shot. They got a powerful offense. I will say Notre Dame is getting better. I still don't have them in my top 4. I don't think they're one of the 4 best teams in the country, but they are getting better, led by Ian Book. But they need to be weary of Dungy. Eric Dungy is a really good quarterback, and when he's healthy, this Syracuse offense is powerful. Notre Dame needs to keep it in front of them because Syracuse lives on the big play. In this game, they're going to live with it, and they're going to die with it. It is going to be up to stopping the big play for Syracuse. If Notre Dame can do that, which they've done it most of the year, Notre Dame will prevail.
I'm very disgusted and unpleased with your answer, Tim Tebow. I expected you to say, because Stephen A., your boy, your friend, has inspired the Syracuse Orangemen, that they're going to deliver an upset for that reason alone. That's what I was expecting to hear you say.
I mean, I would have, but, you know, they dropped 2 after your speech already, and so I figured that already has worn off. I mean, maybe you could do it again on, like, replay and play it for them, and they would be inspired again.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Stephen A.
No, because in all seriousness, what I want to ask you, talked about Syracuse in the big play. I like their running game. I like what Mo Neal's been doing for them. Do you think that Notre Dame can be ran on in this game?
I don't think consistently, no. Not for 4 quarters. I think you can hit some big plays, but I think Syracuse option in this game is the big play down the field passing the ball. And then on 3rd down with Dungy's legs. I think that's the way they can get the upset. And I do think it's possible for them to get the upset. I think Notre Dame's going to put 1 extra man in the box to stop the zone read early in 1st and 2nd down. So I think it would be hard to consistently run the ball for Syracuse.
What do you make of this whole Major Applewhite, Ed Oliver situation, Tim, where the coach apparently is picking a fight with a player who is maybe protecting his multi-million-dollar future? What's going on
Everybody
here?
hold that thought. Let's hear the sound first, Tim, before you react.
We just have a rule on the sideline that guys that are participating in the games, and specifically starters, you know, that they have jackets so they can stay cool. And, you know, as a coach who's coached and played for years, you know, you don't want 1,000 guys in a jacket when it's only 50 degrees outside. You want guys to stand up, be off the bench, and be tough. And some guys had them early on. I asked them to take them off. I asked our equipment staff to take them off. And Ed had one, so I asked him to take it off because I don't want to be unfair and unequal to the other guys. And, you know, he got emotional.
Well, I think, first of all, hopefully the University of Houston can buy enough jackets for everybody to have one. That would be a start for it. I think, secondly, is when you go to halftime, pull them aside privately and say, hey, listen, I got to be fair to all the guys. Why don't you take off the jacket when you come back out for the second half? But not on national TV, not when you know he's going to be a top 10 pick. And also, don't put your hands on him to pull off the jacket yourself. In my opinion, that's kind of disrespectful, and I get why Ed Oliver would be upset. Now, does it call for him to go after his coach? I don't think so whatsoever. I think both of them are wrong. And I think sometimes in college, coaches think that you can just kind of tell a kid however, whatever, you know, get in his face, and that was the way of the past. You got to be respectful to these kids. And yes, I totally get that. You should treat everyone the same, but don't pull a jacket off one of your best players.
Tim, here's my position. I want to respond to that without a question. My position is that, yeah, you're right in what you're saying. But Ed Oliver, you don't look good when you're going after your coach. The coach could have handled it better. It didn't need to be on national television. But it wasn't like he slapped the kid upside his head or something like that. They got a rule. Now, granted, you might not have liked it or whatever, but you're literally on national television having to be restrained from going after your coach. I don't think that's a good look for somebody that wants to go pro.
That's Stephen A's
not a good look at all. I think both sides are wrong. I think it's ridiculous. You have a good program in Houston right now, and your best player, one of your best players in franchise history, and you can't get along over a coat. It's ridiculous.
But it's not
stupid.
really over a coat. It's not
over a coat. It's over treating everybody the same. But in my opinion, you can handle it differently. You can go in the locker room. You can say, hey, Ed, I got to treat all the players the same. I told the rest of them, take off a coat. You got to take off a coat. And now, privately, if he handles it the right way, it's done. It's squashed. We're not talking about it on First Take.
Tim, let me give you, that's Stephen A's interpretation or one of his view on it. Let me give you mine. if a guy misses 4 weeks and maybe you think maybe he can play, or maybe you want to set an example for the team, the coach's job is to figure out how to inspire guys to want to make sacrifices. If it is irrational, like let's say Ed Oliver really could play, but he's protecting his multi-million-dollar future, setting up generations of his family, and maybe he's not playing. Like, let's say it is something like that underneath, because why else would the coach make such a big deal out of it? The job of the coach is not to try to humiliate the guy in front of the team or the nation, right? The job of the coach is not to insist that the player act irrationally against their own self-interest. The coach is to try to get the player to buy in. I put this on coach, not player.
Max, you're right. It's not to embarrass someone. It's to inspire the team. In my opinion, I don't think that's a cause for inspiration. If I'm a recruit and I'm looking at that, I'm not going to say, "Dang, I want to go play for Houston and Major Applewhite." You know, I'm not. That's not at all. I'm going to say, "You see how Dabo Sweeney handled Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence? I'm going to play for him." Why? Because he handled it the right way. He has the players' backs. In that situation, no. Who's wrong? Ed Oliver, yeah, he shouldn't have had a temper. Major Applewhite, but don't pull the jacket off of him. Handle it in a different way or buy more jackets, but figure out how to handle the problem.
Before I let you get on out of here, Tim Tebow, I want to switch gears for a second. Jacob deGrom won the National League Cy Young Award. I mean, anyway, we all know that the Mets, that's the only thing that had them relevant this entire Major League Baseball season, him and you. So my question to you would be, Tim Tebow, what's your reaction to Jacob deGrom winning the National League Cy Young Award?
Should have been unanimous.
I love it. I think he should have. He was dominant. He was unbelievable. He's a fantastic pitcher. He's an awesome kid. We've become good friends, and he's someone that I hope to play with in the future. That would be sweet.